It's Peter Wright and Kathleen Beauvais in Ontario, Canada, with episode number 65 of the Yakking Show. This is where we talk about life, business, and more, and we bring you tips and ideas for the changing world we're living in. We always have an interesting lineup of guests. Today's guest is no exception. But first, it is my job to welcome my co-host, the beauty of the Beauty and the Beast part of this episode. And so let me say hello to Kathleen. Hi, Kathleen. How are you down in Waterloo today?
Well, thank you for that intro, Peter. It's very sweet of you. And I'm doing wonderful. It's a very blustery day today, but a lot of sunshine. So you're going to see a lot of sunshine coming through my windows today. And thank you all so much for joining us today. We so appreciate you. And we read all of your comments. So do please keep them coming. And if anyone out there is interested in becoming a guest on our show, please don't hesitate to reach out to either Peter or myself. And you know, you would make our day if you would go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So thank you in advance for that. And as Peter mentioned, we do have a very special guest with us. I love this man. His name is Wayne Kuhn. Wayne is a real estate broker. He's a member of Toastmasters, a speaker, and now an author. So welcome to the show, Wayne. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm doing well, and I can see you're both doing well.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Wayne. Yeah.
I love the Beauty and the Beast. They should make a movie of that, you know.
Well, there is one, and Kathleen would do well as the beauty part of that movie.
Oh.
I don't know. I might be too much of a beast for the other part. But anyway, we also have a bit of fun on these shows, and just now I'm going to get myself into trouble. So, Wayne, I'm going to keep quiet, and it's over to you.
So Wayne, please tell our audience a little bit about you, about your background and the career path that you've taken and the lead up to writing this unbelievably wonderful book. So go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. I like to start, I guess, back many years ago in the 50s and 60s. And I was raised in a small Mennonite community just north, actually, of here in the Heidelberg area.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were on a farm, and I think we moved off the farm when I was 14. So I've always had a love for animals, a love for doing things with my hands. On the farm, we fixed everything ourselves because we couldn't afford anything. And it was a great upbringing. And I don't remember any abuse. I think I had a really good, happy childhood. I remember, and Peter, you may relate to this. I was reading that you like horses, and I remember as a kid asking my dad if I could have a pony, and he said no. He said they'll eat you out of house and home. You know, it was like if you couldn't milk it, if it didn't lay eggs, and you couldn't eat it, like we didn't want it on the farm. So,
right.
So that was a lesson that I learned, and likely a value that I passed on, is that we really appreciate what we have. So that was kind of the roots, and I talk a bit about that in my upcoming book. Is where we start, the roots that we have. I refer it to around the kitchen table. What we learn at the kitchen table is so paramount in our upbringing, and in doing the journey that I'm on. I really became aware of where I came from and how that influenced me. So we moved to Waterloo in '67. I went to the standard high school thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I look back, I think I was bullied, but I think everybody was. Yep. You know, as a Mennonite, we weren't allowed to participate in any military things, you know, things like Boy Scouts.
Right.
At that time, there was cadets, things like that. So I had to sit in a classroom all by myself, almost like a detention, and while the other guys were out there in their uniforms and that. And I didn't mind not going out there, but I could feel that, you know, I was put on a shelf. It was a different place to be. So that was interesting. And back then, I think my mindset was like, because I came off the farm, academics and that were not even in the question. It's kind of like, what are you going to be? You're either going to be an auto mechanic, or you're going to be a carpenter, or you're going to be woodworker or something, something like that. And I don't want to crawl under cars. It's dirty and the sawdust, so I picked electronics, a nice clean industry. And so that's what I did. And I worked for Electrohome for 15 years and it made a good living. I call that my real job. I only had a real job for 15 years. And by that, I mean, I had to go somewhere, work for somebody else, and then I go home at 5 and for the paycheck sort of thing. That to me was a real job. Ever since then, ever since 87, when I got into real estate, I never called real estate a real job. And it was, it's not. I don't know how I could go back and work for a living. It just, it's not there at all. So, yeah, so it was very interesting.
And then from real estate, you, throughout the years, you've been actively involved in Toastmasters, and we'll get to that in a moment. But so you've gone from real estate, and you are currently still doing that, and then now into being a speaker and writer. How did that progress?
It's interesting. When I worked at Electrohome, I think I had a desire for more connection with people. Like sitting in front of the computer is not my thing. I tend to be more of a social person. And I think what I realized is that I was doing things outside of my work to connect with people. Then I'd sit in for 8 hours and sit and program computers and, program testing and stuff like that. And I had an opportunity in 87 to escape from that. And I think I did it. Backing up a little bit, I had an experience with one of the, I don't know if you remember the 80s, there was a major multi-level marketing movement then. And I got caught up in that, and I was exposed to all the basics, the Think and Grow Rich, and how to win friends and influence people, and all the basics I had there, and I knew there was something there, but I wasn't sure what to do with that. And I knew inside of a Electrohome or inside of a factory is pretty hard to let loose. And so the real estate, what I always say, it offered me 4 things. First of all, real estate gave me a chance to earn all the money in the world. Like realtors have a chance to make obscene income. I shouldn't talk like that because realtors deny it, but they do. it's good. It's good money. I can get up when I want. I can do what I want whenever I want, and the product is friendly. I had trouble with multi-level marketing because the products always, I never fell in love with anything. But real estate, like I can go into a room and people know I'm a realtor. They'll come up to me and say, how's real estate? Well, what do you think my house is worth? That sort of thing. It's like they don't run away from you. They start chewing at your brain and picking at you, sort of thing. So I knew it was a friendly product. Everybody has to live somewhere. So that was an easy sale. And last, the 4th thing was people. It allowed me to connect with people, be with people, work with people. And to me, those are the 4 things that said, this is perfect. It's a perfect fit. There's nothing else I'd rather do. And that's the way it was for likely 30 years.
Wow.
Up until about 5 years ago, a light bulb came on, and then a new journey started.
Wow. Wayne, I got to jump in there. You make real estate sound lovely, and I'm sure for some people it is. I've never sold real estate, but I did spend a year or 2 in life assurance, and the failure rate in life assurance and in real estate is colossal, right? Very few people get the success that you got, and I think I can't remember the statistic, but a huge number of realtors, and I'm not being sexist here, but a lot of them are married women who are looking for an additional income, are lucky if they sell a house every few months, so they don't really make money. What's the difference? Why do those few people in real estate and in insurance do well and the vast majority don't? What's the key?
That's a very good question, Peter, because that's a bit of what I address in my book.
Good.
Why are some people real successful and other people just getting by? Because the truth is that, and I write in my book, I came out of the real estate class in 1987. There were 28 of us. And right now, I think there's 3 of us. Now, some have retired, but there's 3 of us. And they didn't last. So yeah, the fallout rate is huge in real estate and in many of those. And so I always felt fortunate that I hung in as long as I could.
Is it perseverance?
It is, and to me, we think it's skill, we think it's knowledge, and that's what the industry tells us. But they don't tell us it's mindset. It's do you have a desire? Do you have a goal? Do you know what you really want? Because here's a vehicle that'll get you whatever you want. But if you don't know what you want, then how can we help you, sort of thing. And that's why you see, successful teams making millions of dollars in real estate, and other people, like Peter mentioned, hey, I tried it for 4 months and it just wasn't for me. I want to ask them, well, what is for you? Like, what is it that you really want to do? So that's what I cover in my book. I cover the morning routine. I call it the hour of power. Like, as a realtor, if I get up and if I don't know what I'm doing, if I get up, say, well, okay, what should I do? Maybe I should phone John and say if he wants to sell his house. And then I'll go have a coffee. And, you can dinker or fool around all day, call yourself a realtor and not do a thing and go home. And guess what? They don't care. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Because,
Nobody cares.
Yeah, there's no accountability. So to me, that's a structure, a discipline, accountability are all major factors in becoming a successful realtor and likely a successful insurance salesman. Like I looked at insurance. I don't want to say it's too loudly, but the product didn't work with me. so it's
So Wayne, what is Toastmasters exactly, and how did it help you with your journey?
Yeah, I joined Toastmasters in 1993. Oh. And I always had, when I was in the multiple level marketing guru sort of thing, we had a little organization. We used to go down to Columbus, Ohio and see major producers. They'd walk across the stage, and they'd have their suit and tie on. And I used to watch them and I said, I can do that. I can do that. And I learned that I wanted to be on stage. There's a drug on stage. I don't know if you can relate to that, but there's an energy. There's something about being in front of people that pushes my button. And I've always wanted to be a professional speaker, but to me, I couldn't make a living at it. And that was my paradigm. That's what I thought. Maybe I could have, maybe I couldn't, but you talk about real estate having a fairly sharp, professional speaking is like zip. Like you either make it or you die, like you starve sort of thing. And so it's very sharp. So Toastmasters kind of filled that gap. And I thought, well, they focus on communication and leadership, which are both things that I really need in the real estate business. And so I had been in real estate about 3 or 4 years, and I thought, oh, this is really good. Toastmasters now, it's been 27 years, and I'm still a Toastmaster. I have the best friends in my life in Toastmasters, and likely my best clients are out of Toastmasters. Like we built a community of people that wanted to improve speaking and communicating, and it's like everything else. Our average life of a Toastmaster is 18 months. They come in, they take what they want, and they leave, sort of thing, because they're not there to become professional speakers or not, or they take what they want out of it and then move on. And so I've been fortunate to embrace both real estate and Toastmasters and now we move on to the final chapter of my life.
It's going to be a long chapter looking at I've got to endorse what you say about Toastmasters. I'm just trying to think. I think I was in Toastmasters for 9 years, and then we tried to keep our little Woodstock club going, and we ran out of steam eventually. And we were just starting a new one after a year's gap, and then of course this virus thing hit, so we had to stop. But I know what you're saying. The average life is 18 months. People come and they go, and a very small percentage, probably less than 10%, take on an office bearer role, and will put something back into the organization. And like you, I went through all the different vice presidents and president of the club for a while, and mentored another club. Huge learning experience. I'm really grateful for what I learned there. Yeah, no, it's a good organization for sure. So I got to ask you, we're going to get onto your book. I give you a chance now to talk more, but what was the inspiration? What was the spark that got you to write the book?
The book, I've got a copy right here, flog. The book is called It's Time to Recharge. And what happened is, I guess about 5 years ago, I took a course with, it's called Thinking into Results with Bob Proctor, which is off of Think and Grow Rich. It's all in the same realm. And I sat down with one of the trainers, and they said to me, Wayne, what do you really want to do? I thought, what do you really want to do? Well, I'm a realtor. What else is there? And another thing that really was a catalyst is, as I go for coffee every Thursday, well, now we Zoom with a group of fellows from our church. And these guys are all retired. In fact, some of them are over 90.
Wow.
And I'm sitting here, I'm 68 years old, and I'm looking at these guys that are 90, and I think, holy crap, Wayne, you've got 20 good years in you yet.
Yeah.
We better figure out what's going on, because if I don't do real estate anymore, what am I going to do? And this voice kept saying, well, what do you really want to do? And I reached back to that point where I said, I really want to be a professional speaker. That's what I really wanted to do. But you put it on the shelf because it really, maybe you thought you couldn't do it. So if somebody said to you, Peter, what do you really, really want to do? If you had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, what would you really do? And that's that question came to me, and I thought, yeah, I want to be a professional speaker. So writing the book was not in my scope at that time. I'm not well read. I'm not a person that reads a lot of books. I only read nonfiction, and so I thought, oh, writing a book, this is my spelling sucks, and everything else is just not my thing. But then I learned that I have a lot to share with people, and just to do it from the stage, you have limited amount of time. And so I thought, well, what if I put some of it in a book? And that's what I did. And my hope is that this book will open some doors to more speaking, and will help people. And eventually, I've done some workshops with it, and I want to expand on that and kind of spend the next 20 years just passing my secrets. I don't want to call them secrets, but what I've learned in life on to people that are just getting started. And I found that real exciting is when a brand new realtor comes up to me and asks me questions that I think are routine. Like there's people out there, like you mentioned about the podcast, people out there don't have a clue of what you do. And if you teach them just the simple basics, they go, wow, and if you're like me, when you can help somebody else like that's drugs, right? That is really where it's all about. And so that's where the book came about, is just a vehicle that I can share my stories with them. I talk a bit about my childhood and about the kitchen table. I talk a bit about what's in your box, what's in your paradigm. And that's something I really grasped onto, is that each one of us has a different place we come from. And so when I say something to you, or I try to explain something to you and you don't understand, that's okay, because you're your mind isn't like mine, and so we each
Absolutely.
have a different way. And so I talk a bit about that, and I talk about things like my mom, for example. My mom is 92, and she's still in her own apartment, but she's very thrifty. And I talk about that in my book, about when I look at my bank account, I see my mom. When I look at my spending habits, I see my mom, and I try to fight that. Yet it's there. It's there.
Right.
The roots are deep, and so if you want to move ahead and you want to jump to the next level, you have to really look at some of those roots that are putting together your paradigm and say, how can I change this? What can I do to change this? And yeah, it's a fun topic. It's a big topic. It's a deep topic for some.
Very much so.
I don't pretend to be a therapist, but I think recharge, and if I can take one more minute, what recharge is I realized that there's two places in life and two things, and they call it, it's kind of like the polarization, the law of polarity. You're either negative or positive. You're either black or white. So you're either with me or you're not. So I look at this. COVID-19, and I look at some people and the comments they're making, and I thought, are you part of the solution? Or are you part of the problem? Right? And so so the whole world seems to be divided into two sides. And my goal is to get you from the lower mindset to what I call a higher mindset, so that you're thinking optimistically, positively. It's kind of, yes, I can do that, or how can we make it better, or how can we, and when you're in that higher mindset, your creativity kicks in. You all of a sudden, your energy, you will attract more opportunities. Like the whole world comes together when you're fully charged. But if you're not, life sucks. So we need to. So that's my goal. The goal is to bring that to a higher level. Yeah. So it's. Yeah.
I'm going to follow. I want to ask you another quick one, if I can, Kathleen. As Kathleen said earlier, we've interviewed or had a lot of authors as guests on our show, and I wrote a book as well. And but this is not about me. And one of the questions that we love asking people is the mechanics of writing your book. Because a lot of people say to us, how can you sit down and write a book that's going to run to 120, 150, 200 pages? And I said to them, very easily, you write one sentence at a time, but what's every day until it's done. So how did you go about the mechanical side of getting those words onto paper or onto your computer screen?
I cheated. I bought a package. I'll be honest with you. I'm working with, it's called 10-10-10. It's by Raymond Aaron.
Oh, yes, I know Raymond Aaron, yeah.
Raymond
I know
Aaron.
of him.
And I checked around. I didn't think it was any more expensive than anybody else, but what it did is it gave me structure. And every morning I would get up at 6 o'clock and I would write for half an hour. And I did that religiously. And what I did before that is I said, okay, I'm going to take 10 to 12 chapters. Now, what would these chapters be about? And so you kind of build it in your head. And then under each chapter, I wrote 6 bullet points, things I'd talk about. So now all of a sudden I have 12 chapters. I have 6 bullet points. 12 sixes are 72. So
Right.
If you write a full page 72 times and you double it, you've got your book of 150 pages. And so
Right.
that's kind of the mechanics of it. I had to throttle it back because the book could have been 300 pages, right?
I know.
So you pull it back and think, okay, is this really relevant? Is this going to help somebody? And what do I want to put in? And so I put things in that I thought you can take some of my lessons, you take some of this information and do something with it right today. And start making it better. So so that's the mechanics of it.
Yeah.
If I had to do it again, I have those tools. Yeah.
Absolutely. What you said right at the beginning, what I found in my experience and talking to a lot of authors is the discipline. Get up at the same time every day and write for the same amount of time or the same number of words every day. No excuses. I did it just 5 days a week, and I got up at 5 and wrote for an hour or 1,000 words, and I didn't move. I didn't shave, didn't have tea, nothing until that was done. And I wrote much more than I needed and had to trim back. But the discipline got me through it, over a period of a few months. So thank you for that. I'm glad that you found that as well.
Yeah, and
Kathleen?
I found I immersed myself in it. Like I was thinking all day long what I was going to write the next day. Like my brain was always working, and I thought if your brain's not working on it all day, like, are you really into this? Like
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. A funny little twist on my one is all the experts said write about 150 to 200 pages. So I thought, right. So eventually I got hold of an editor and she said, how many pages you written? I said 212 or something. Oh, you mean in the paperback size? I said, no, on a Word doc, full page Word doc. She says, that's 400 pages. That's far too much. So I started trimming. Anyway, that's enough about me. Kathleen, you wanted something else. You've gone dark there.
Well, yes, I'm so sorry, folks. I'm so sorry that the lighting coming into this room. I'm trying to not sit it where the sun is beaming at me. So I think we're out of time for today. So Wayne, how do we go about? Does anybody go about reaching out to you, and how do they go about getting your book?
Oh, okay. Several ways. I'm available through. I have an email address that is wayne@waynekuhn.com. That's my email address. And as we speak, I'm launching a new website that is actually the title of the book. So if people type in, it's timetorecharge.com, you'll take it right to now that may be a week or so, but it's ready to fire up. And from there, you can go to Google and get me and connect quite well there. So yeah.
And Wayne, will the book be on Amazon?
Yes, it will be. Yes,
okay,
and
that's
it'll
great.
be there. And I usually put it on Facebook, LinkedIn, some of the other social things. And I encourage people to have a look at it. And I think there's some meat and potatoes there that people will enjoy.
Excellent, and we will certainly give it some publicity for you. What we didn't mention at the beginning, we also have a website, theyakkingshow.com, and all the episodes of this guest show will be put on that website over a period of time, and all the links we're talking about will be on the website as well. So there's a few other ways people can get hold of you. So that's enough for me. I'm going to go back to Kathleen to accept one last message to our listeners and viewers. Please, we would love to have you subscribe and like our video and audio. From me, Wayne, thank you very much, and it's over to Kathleen.
Yes, Wayne, thank you so much for being our guest today. We so appreciate it. And thank all of you for joining us, and we so appreciate your comments. So once again, please do keep them coming. We read all of them, and if anyone out there is interested in becoming a guest on our show, please don't hesitate to reach out to either Peter or myself. So until next time, stay safe. Bye-bye, everyone.